cultivating self-love in your 20s, specifically for me, is important because these are the foundational years. They are the foundational years for your adult years anyway. They are the chaos years for sure, yes, but there is so much room to lay down the strong and steady foundation that will be what you will build on for the rest of your life. If there's anything else that I've learned, is that I should shy away from instant gratification. I should shy away from the quick fixes. That I should expose myself and explore pain, challenges. In the book of Galatians in the Bible, it speaks of long suffering as one of the fruits of the Spirit. I need to want for my character to be built. One of my favorite things that has come out of having a better relationship with myself is an ability to say yes and mean it, and say no and mean it. There's a saying that a dishonest yes to something you don't really want to do is an honest no to yourself. It's very difficult to admit and acknowledge that you're treating yourself poorly, and you are in many of the situations that you are in because of your own bad choices. So looking in the mirror and realizing that I had chosen certain things for myself was embarrassing and very, very uncomfortable. Hi community, welcome back to Acupfulll. Thank you so much for joining me. I am back with another love series. So I did one for the month of February, but the approach was doing certain things from a place of love. So for example, forgiving others and yourself with love, and learning to love yourself better. And if you haven't listened to that, you can go and find that on any of the listening platforms that you listen to. I recorded that series for the whole of February, as I mentioned. So if you're interested, you can go and listen to that. But this time I thought, why not specifically focus on my own personal journey with love in my 20s and my own experiences, lessons, and understanding or knowledge of love now that I'm in my late 20s. So that's exactly what I will be doing over the next 3 weeks, specifically focusing on self-love, love and friendship, and romantic love. So in today's episode, we will be talking about self-love, and my oh my, what a journey it has been for me. But first, before we go down my road of experience with self, first get into what self-love is. According to the blog BetterHelp, self-love can be understood as an appreciation, affinity, and positive regard for yourself. It is closely related to self-esteem and self-compassion. When you have a strong sense of self-love, you understand your own value and treat yourself in a loving way. Loving yourself means having a good understanding of your strengths and weaknesses. So what it is really is being mindful of yourself and being self-aware, which will most definitely impact how you interact with yourself and how you interact with others, and then your quality of life as well. Which is what brings me to the importance of self-love. It is critical to our overall well-being. Many studies suggest that we need self-love in order to take action, take chances, and take on new opportunities. It motivates much of our positive behavior while reducing harmful behavior. It both empowers us to take risks and to say no to things that don't work for us. It is also a really important component to building self-compassion. And I can attest to what I just said, because I have seen and continue to see how loving myself has motivated me to really do right by me and to stop putting my spiritual, mental, emotional, physical well-being in harm's way. For example, I stopped consuming alcohol. I stopped people pleasing. I started choosing to really deal with my childhood traumas and traumas that I experienced in my teenage years, and even the traumas that I experienced in my much earlier 20s. I stopped choosing people that were not even remotely interested in choosing me. I started building a relationship with God, and that opened the door to me seeing myself in a completely new light. Yeah, and my faith has definitely played a big role in how I see myself now and how I treat myself as well. I have boundaries, and I am not ashamed or shy to enforce them and then reinforce them, both with myself and other people. So it really is true that when you truly love yourself, you will not want to put yourself in harm's way. It is also true that you will want to take more risks and get out of your comfort zone, which again, I keep seeing with myself. I want to do things that challenge me and that require me to push myself in a good way, of course. Exercising, new and different recreational activities, trying those out. I am really open to forming new friendships as well, even though that is scary, especially because of I'm older now. Making friends can be quite challenging. I'm open to it, and that's great. I'm so happy to be feeling open to forming new friendships. I want to have uncomfortable conversations with my friends and family members and even myself. The fear I used to have of being rejected or pushed away should someone not like how I express myself and my feelings, that no longer exists, because it's no longer about how a person or people will perceive me or feel about me, but more about being true to myself and those around me. I'm more interested and focused on wanting people to like who I am and not who I pretend to be. So much has changed since I started choosing to really take care of myself and really, really love myself and really redefine what self-love is as well. Self-love and valuing it and understanding it also helps us take care of ourselves, lowers stress, and it allows us to strive for success, or it encourages us to strive for success. But it also protects us, or rather helps with navigating negative thoughts, as well as self-sabotage and pushing ourselves too far, because you can push yourself too far and it not be good for you. There is pushing yourself far and it being good for you, and then there's pushing yourself too far and it not being good for you and it ending up messing up with your mental health and just your overall peace. And there's something else that I've realized now that I'm a lot more mindful and I take self-love seriously. I want so much more for myself. I really, really do. And when I say so much more, it goes beyond the material pampering, the shopping, getting my hair done, going out on the solo dates, buying myself flowers. And I'm not saying those things aren't meant to be incorporated into showing ourselves love, but I am saying they are not the most important. It's the foundation and work you are laying down on the inside that matters the most, from where I'm standing anyways. So what I want for myself now goes way beyond being able to access the material things. And if I can't access the material things, for example, because I'm maybe financially overstretched for that month or for that period of time, those few months or that year, or I need to save for something, which means I can't do the splurging and going out on the solo dates, I won't feel incomplete. I really don't. The more I strive for now is taking care of my health, cultivating peace in my life by not allowing negative thoughts and a difficult time to drown me and suffocate me, making good financial choices, being intentional about who I allow in my life, knowing what I will and will not tolerate, treating myself with love and respect, pursuing myself every single day. That used to be reserved for another person who I would be in a romantic relationship with, and that really used to be the kind of relationship that I had with myself. Being pursued was only meant to be done by a man that I would be in a relationship with. But loving myself has really helped me discover and understand the importance of pursuing myself, really getting to know myself, really understanding myself to the deepest depths of my being, and making sure that I meet my own needs, that I can meet in the best way possible. Because I'm obviously not saying here that you can self-love your way out of needing other people. Oh no, that's not true. I absolutely advocate for having healthy connections with other people. But that does start somewhere, and that somewhere is with yourself. So, yeah, pursuing myself has become a very important part of loving myself, and I love that for myself, and I highly recommend it and encourage it. At the beginning of the episode, I mentioned that it has been a really long journey to getting where I am with myself at the moment, and I want to get a little bit into it. Self-love used to be anything that had to do with instant gratification for me. Getting other people to love me and want me at any cost, being comfortable all the time, and also blaming the people around me for the then poor state of my life. I was drinking alcohol excessively. I was partaking in activities that would numb my pain. And I also ended up constantly pretending to be someone that I wasn't. I was so consumed with being like everyone else that I was even willing to participate in things that I had no real interest in, and even conversations that I had absolutely no interest in. And this lasted through most of my 20s. And for me, some contributing factors included having some serious issues that I didn't start dealing with properly until my mid to late 20s. And I'd say even with more intention until like maybe a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, So, yeah, there was a lot happening, but it was also the chaos that is the 20s. It's been a roller coaster of its own, and I've expressed multiple times on the podcast that my 20s have been nothing short of interesting and chaotic and confusing. I really don't know how many identity crises I have had at this point. I've lost count. And another thing for me was also a really low self-esteem. So, yeah, I have I had spent, I don't know if have or had spent a lot of my 20s in a very unhealthy relationship with myself. And it was definitely showing, which it will do. It will show, and it will be reflected in your relationships with other people, in the choices that you make, in just your overall quality of life. So, yeah, it's really important to love yourself, to take care of yourself, to value yourself. It sets the tone. It literally sets the tone, and it will show. Yeah, it's going to show itself. So why is self-love important to cultivate in your 20s? I mean, self-love is important to cultivate everywhere, in all stages of our lives, in all age periods of our lives. But I really want to get into why it's important in the 20s, because I've firsthand seen what happens when you don't love yourself, and now I'm seeing what happens when you do, because I actually do love myself. Like, I'm saying it with so much confidence. I'm not pretending. I'm not trying to sound inspirational and be like, get onto this train, guys. It's amazing. I'm not selling you anything. I'm just being absolutely honest. And it is amazing. It truly is amazing. It feels amazing physically. It feels amazing mentally, emotionally, spiritually. I could talk about how loving myself has changed my life for the better. I could talk about it all day, but we don't have all day. So let me just use the little bit of time that I got here. But cultivating self-love in your 20s, specifically for me, is important because these are the foundational years. They are the foundational years for your adult years anyway. They are the chaos years for sure, yes, but there is so much room to lay down the strong and steady foundation that will be what you will build on for the rest of your life. If there is one thing my 20s have taught me, is that this is definitely not not at all the having it all figured out years, or the it all makes sense years. Dev's not, but my personal experiences have shown me that when you see this period as a time to really put your back into it and start doing things like going to therapy, getting into the habit of saving, being mindful of what you allow and who you allow into your life, valuing your time, partaking in activities that encourage the strengthening of your self-esteem and confidence, then you're definitely off to a good start. Even in the face of adversity, even when you're faced with some really difficult times, you're going to find a way to keep going. You will be motivated to keep going because you've already started the building. There is something to look forward to. There is something that you don't want to put in harm's way. You don't want to jeopardize it. You've made the investment, and you're going to keep going because you've also made it a habit not to break the promises you've made to yourself. And you know that the life you want is worth staying focused for. It's worth putting your best foot forward for. So self-love, taking it seriously, seeing yourself and wanting the best for yourself, it is going to impact the rest of your life. It really, really will. It's going to impact your present, but it's also going to impact your future. And I know that we live in a culture where instant gratification is really the focus. It's what a lot of people are doing, living for just for now. The you only live once kind of mindset. And I think you can apply you only live once to making sure that you create a balanced life for yourself without ruining your life 100%. And that can be a very positive thing, but sometimes you only live once, and the culture that we live in is doing things for now, doing things quickly, not thinking about the future, not thinking about the fact that maybe in 2 years, not even maybe, you're going to outgrow certain things. You are going to want more for yourself, and you can either be in a good position to receive that more or to work even further towards that more. You could be in a good place mentally, physically, emotionally, financially, or you could be reeling from the bad choices that you made 2 years prior. You could be in a position where you're now having to spend more time picking up the pieces instead of moving forward and building the life that you want. So if there's anything else that I've learned is that I should shy away from instant gratification. I should shy away from the quick fixes. That I should expose myself and explore pain, challenges. In the book of Galatians in the Bible, it speaks of long suffering as one of the fruits of the Spirit. I need to want for my character to be built. I need to think long term, because this life is long term. It might be short, but it is also long. And I can't just be living for now. My life cannot be based on feeling good for 2 minutes, even if that means I'm hurting myself financially, I'm hurting myself mentally, I'm hurting myself physically, I'm hurting myself spiritually. So loving myself has also really helped me have priorities and prioritizing the right things and staying true to my priorities and respecting them. So, yeah, when you love yourself, there aren't things when you love yourself, there are things you won't even be willing to do or be a part of. It also saves you a lot of time and heartache. You make better choices when it comes to love, romantic love, when it comes to friendships, when it comes to your finances, because again, you have your priorities straight and you really value yourself. And yeah, you're more focused on laying down the foundations of your life. And again, you save time and you are able to pour into the more important things, because there are things that you are just not willing to waste your time on. And let's just be honest, some things are a waste of time. There is no value in doing certain things. And there is also more to life than doing certain things. Something that comes to mind is partying, clubbing, consuming alcohol recklessly, sometimes just too much all the time. There's so much more to life than that. There are so many other ways to have fun, to decompress. So, yeah, I'm not saying that people that do it are bad or wrong. I'm not judging anyone. But I am saying that some of the things that we prioritize, some of the things that we partake in and just do too much of is just not worth it. It wastes your time and you can go and find another way to go and relax or have fun. So, yeah, just saying. Now I really want to get into the benefits of self-love. I kind of did already, but let's talk about it from the scientific study perspective. It lowers stress and it encourages a higher resilience. So when we feel stressed, it's generally because we don't feel capable of living up to the challenges in front of us. So when you have a strong sense of self-love, you're better able to tackle challenges. Negative feelings and self-critical thoughts compound stress pretty much. And yeah, it just makes it worse. It makes everything worse. But when we feel good, it's usually easier for us to problem solve. So if you're someone that can say to yourself, or you've developed that kind of relationship with yourself where you say, you know what, I'm actually capable of doing this, and you also have people around you that are rooting for you and that are encouraging you, obviously you would have chosen good people for yourself because you love yourself. Just wanted to take it back there, just to circle back to self-love. But yeah, you are more likely to be able to want to withstand whatever it is that you are faced with, and to take it head on. So yeah, that's the one benefit, the one incredible benefit. It also encourages a willingness to take risks. So when we're willing to take risks, we do so because we have faith in ourselves. And I mentioned this. I can see myself doing certain things, and I do certain things. And it's not even about how people are going to perceive me, or what is this person going to say about me if I fail. It's not about that anymore. It's about putting myself in a position where I'm pushing myself, and I'm testing myself, and I'm giving myself an opportunity to be in a situation where my character will be shaped, where I'm gonna have to put my head down and work very, very hard, where I am sharpening certain aspects of myself, certain capabilities. So we need to be intentional about loving ourselves, because it helps with growth, with mental growth, emotional growth, spiritual growth, physical growth. you end up even being willing to take risks in the gym. And I'm not saying lifting heavier weights than you should be, right? But I am saying trying out a new class, doing Pilates, for example, joining a new group that do more challenging exercises. So you want to put yourself in a place where you are getting better, or you are pushing yourself to do more for yourself, and you are just wanting to get better at whatever that is. So yeah, it encourages you and it helps you want to take more risks. And because you would be in a good place with yourself, you'd probably also trust yourself more, and you would see yourself as worthy of making that investment. It also encourages us to have empathy. When we are able to see ourselves and accept our strengths and weaknesses with compassion and appreciation, we can also have compassion for others. This ability to hold space for other people's struggles helps us to become more empathetic. And in turn, empathy creates a stronger connection and a sense of belonging. Another beautiful benefit of self-love. Self-love, it also really helps with setting boundaries. And this is one of the best things that has, one of many best things, but one of my favorite things that has come out of having a better relationship with myself is an ability to say yes and mean it, and say no and mean it. There's a saying that a dishonest yes to something you don't really want to do is an honest no to yourself. And I'm finding myself being more and more honest with myself and having the room to say no. No to something that is small, and no to something that is big, and yes to something that is small, and yes to something that is big. And previously, my no's and my yeses, there would be more yeses than there were no's. I would just always say yes. I could not set boundaries. I didn't have boundaries with myself, and I didn't have boundaries with other people. I didn't have boundaries with other people. Why? Because of I wanted to be liked, but I didn't actually really like myself. And that's another big reason why I felt the need to be liked by other people. Couldn't stand myself. So yeah, saying yes to everything is not it. Don't think that when you say yes to every single thing, you are being a good person. No. A key part of self-love is knowing what to give your energy to and what doesn't serve you, and what you don't have the capacity to give your energy to. So yeah, being honest, being able to speak your mind, obviously with respect and love and kindness, those are signs of being a good person. Not saying yes to everything. Have boundaries, set your boundaries, enforce your boundaries, reinforce your boundaries. So what does a lack of self-love look like? These are some signs to look out for. The one is perfectionism and a fear of failure. Another is avoidance of self-care and neglect of personal needs, something I have all too much experience with. Taking care of other people and not taking care of myself, that probably made my relationship with myself worse, because I was not even interested in understanding what I needed when I needed it, and I really wasn't helping myself. Tolerating toxic or abusive relationships. So people pleasing will have you in relationships, surrounding yourself with people that you just need to stay away from, that you have no business inviting into your life. And yeah, that's what happens when you don't care for yourself much. You just want to have people in your life, no matter the kind of quality of person that they are. But that's not good for you. It really isn't. Another one is difficulty saying no and overcommitting. This is something else that I really used to struggle with. Saying yes to everything and piling more onto an already full plate, I would feel uncomfortable saying yes, but I would say it anyway, because this person needs me, because I'm trying to be a good person, because if I say no, what if they leave me? And that really is no good. Firstly, you are building your relationships on a lie. You are presenting a version of yourself that is a lie. You actually don't want to be doing this. You actually don't have the capacity. You are betraying yourself, and you are not respecting yourself, and you are not respecting your own needs. And it's just unhealthy, and you end up burning out, and you just end up exhausted and feeling overwhelmed, probably resentful of yourself and other people as well. So yeah, and something else that I've really learned is it's unfair to get frustrated at somebody else for not realizing that you are overwhelmed. It's unfair to expect someone else to go down on their knees and worship the ground that you walk on just because of you're making all of these sacrifices and saying yes when you could be saying no. They're not forcing you to do that. Firstly, you're an adult, nobody's your babysitter, and if you don't speak and express yourself, how will people know what you're going through? So again, that is a reflection of where you're at with yourself, and not loving yourself is really dangerous because there are just these expectations that you're creating in your head, and this entitlement that you end up having as well. So yeah, they just ends up being so much chaos that can be avoided if you say no and you clear off or clear out your plate, and you prioritize your well-being, your health, so that you're able to serve others and give to others from a more genuine and authentic place. Another one is comparing oneself unfavorably to others, and we all know that comparison is the thief of joy, and that it will steal your joy from you. When you don't love yourself, been there, looking at other people, looking at their lives becomes a big part of your own life, and it will set you back because you're looking in the wrong place. Other people's lives is not where you're supposed to be looking. Your life is supposed to be where you're looking, because your life, your journey, your purpose, your gifts, your talents, your blessings are unique to you. We don't all have the same capabilities, the same gifts, the same talent. So the only person that you should be in a healthy competition with is yourself. Another one is negative self-talk and constant self-criticism. And this, again, it's going to send you into an even further downward spiral, which is, it happens a lot when you aren't in a good place with yourself. It's easier to bash yourself and be unkind to yourself than it is easier to be good to yourself and to comfort yourself, Another one is difficulty setting and maintaining healthy boundaries. And boundaries are very important to our well-being as human beings. Yeah. But it can be extremely challenging to set and maintain boundaries when you don't have a starting point. The minute I started to implement the boundaries that I want to have, or that I have for other people with myself, then it got a lot easier for me to say no to other people, because that relationship already exists within myself, and I take it seriously within myself. And of course, it's been a big learning thing, a thing where I've had to be very patient, a huge learning curve, because I was trying to do it simultaneously with myself and with other people, saying no to another person and also learning to say no to myself. So I've learned to say no to myself with everything when it comes to food, because sometimes I do really need to say no to myself, because I love food so much. Food is so nice, But I have had to learn to say no to myself. Sometimes I can't have this. Sometimes it's just not going to be a good health decision to have this and this at the same time. You know what I'm saying? I going off on a tangent now, but I don't restrict myself. I eat everything, but I also know that I need to have self-control. And yeah, it's just been easier for me to implement a thing like boundaries with other people because I do it with myself and I do take it very seriously. Yeah, another big one, another big sign is engaging in self-sabotaging behaviors. Sure. Listen here, let me tell you some. Let me tell you some. When I struggled with loving myself and deeming myself worthy and valuable, I used to do a lot of things and even say a lot of things that were me hurting myself and sabotaging my own well-being. And then I'd be shocked that I'm in certain situations because I just wasn't willing to be honest with myself, and I was a lot more comfortable living in a lie or lies than I was about getting out of that and cleaning the mess up and getting out of that chaos and getting out of specific ways of thinking. And again, that took me a while because it's very difficult to admit and acknowledge that you're treating yourself poorly and you are in many of the situations that you are in because of your own bad choices. So looking at the mirror, looking in the mirror and realizing that I had chosen certain things for myself was embarrassing and and very, very uncomfortable. But yeah, that's just something that happens when you don't care much for yourself or when you don't deem yourself worthy. You surround yourself with bad company, you stay in relationships that are not healthy for you, you create a version of you that other people like but that you don't like. And again, the biggest end result is going to be the quality of your life and just how you see yourself. So yeah, those are just some things to look out for, and to also remember that those are things that you can change. I've definitely changed a lot around when it came to myself, and I also don't want to lie to you. It has taken work, it has taken tears, it has taken a lot of discomfort, but the best thing you can do for yourself is to choose you. You know, I think about it this way, and again, I'm so grateful for God. I'm grateful to God. I'm grateful for how my relationship with God has changed how I see myself. But I think of it this way, the way that God chooses me and the way that He just doesn't compromise on how He chooses me. That's exactly what I need to be doing for myself. And I gotta do it every day. You know how people that are married and that have been married for a long time will always say, and I hear this a lot, interviews that I listen to, in-person conversations, you have to choose. They say you have to choose to love your partner because love is not a feeling, it's a choice. And sometimes you don't want to do certain things, but you have to. Sometimes I don't want to exercise, but I know that it's good for me, and those challenging moments in the routines that I do, they're good for me. It's challenging me mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, and it is encouraging me to be able to withstand pain, to see things through, to keep the promises that I've made to myself. So it's a big choice thing. And the more you do it, the more you see that it is a big choice thing. So yeah. So how are we going to practice the self-love? How are we going to practice it? How are we going to practice self-love? from now on moving forward, and then also specifically in our 20s. So let's start with just generally from now on. I really recommend getting to know yourself. I mentioned it. The bath bombs, candles, and me time are all lovely, but they aren't the highest form of self love. And there definitely also isn't a textbook right way to taking care of yourself well, except for the one or the ones that you know to be the right way for yourself. And how do you find that out? By getting to know yourself. Think of it like starting a new relationship. I said it, that pursuit thing, pursuing. Whether it's you making a new friend or being courted or even taking care of a new houseplant, you need to pursue. You need to ask questions. You need to make notes. Find out what works and what doesn't. Try new things. So, yeah, be curious and be engaged in learning to nurture this new relationship. Another one is embracing compliments. Get into the habit of embracing compliments, acknowledgements, and any other positive regard that people want to send your way. It might seem uncomfortable at first, and you may even have to practice it, but you're going to get the hang of it eventually. Practice does make perfect. Build self-care routines. Learning how to take care of yourself means building habits that support your well-being. Building self-care routines is an essential and proactive approach to nurturing your overall well-being. It involves the intentional cultivation of habits and practices that contribute to your physical, emotional, and mental health. So, I know when we hear self-care, you always just, the first thing that will come to mind is this huge industry that encourages us to buy the bath bombs, go for the massages, solo dates. Yeah, sometimes having to spend money, sometimes an excessive amount, sometimes not too much. You don't need to spend money when you are building your self-care routine. It could involve exercising in the morning, reading your Bible when you wake up, and then exercising, and then taking a bath and having breakfast before you start your workday, for example, if you're somebody that has the luxury of starting your workday a bit later. And if not, it could just be waking up 15 to 20 minutes earlier to just spend time praying or stretching or going on a walk. And if you're someone that works an 8 to 5 or a 7 to 5, then it's again waking up 10 minutes earlier, or taking your lunch time at work to eat your sandwich and read a book. Eat a sandwich, listen to a podcast, walk around your work building whilst you have your headsets in and you're listening to some music, some relaxing music. Just that one little thing that you do in the day, those 2 or 3 little things that you do in a day that is dedicated to you taking care of yourself. Taking care of yourself and not compromising. So just a mindful practice daily, and making sure to do that every single day, and just making sure to prioritize it. Another thing is to prioritize self-compassion. Cultivating self-love involves developing a compassionate and understanding relationship with yourself. Embrace the concept of self-compassion, which has to do with treating yourself with the same kindness and empathy you would offer to a friend facing challenges. You come back from work, you've had a bad day, you maybe messed up the presentation, or you didn't get the promotion, or you didn't get that pay raise. Don't now sit in front of the computer and try and strategize on how you're going to make sure that you make the thing happen tomorrow or in 2 weeks or in a month. Get home and relax. Get home and switch off your devices and stretch, or sit on your couch and read a book, or take a nap, or take a walk to the shops to buy your favorite ice cream, or whatever the case may be. But when you are going through a tough thing, or you didn't live up to your own expectations, just don't be hard on yourself. Teach yourself to be as kind to yourself as you would be to another person. No matter what it is, it doesn't have to be the things that I mentioned. No matter what it is, maybe you thought your relationship would last forever and it didn't, and you ended up breaking up with your boyfriend or your girlfriend. Don't spend the time after you've broken up just like obsessing over what it is he could have done differently, what it is she could have done differently, what it is you could have done differently. That's not going to help you. Be kind to yourself, and whenever you realize things or you've realized something, take that as an opportunity for you to learn, whether it was how you contributed to the relationship failing or ending, or how that person contributed to the relationship failing or ending. We have to treat ourselves with kindness first. We have to be compassionate with ourselves first. So, yeah, remember that is very important. Nurture positive self-talk. Please talk to yourself kindly. Please speak life into your own life. The tongue is very, very powerful. It's extremely powerful. And you are bringing things to life. You are giving things space to come to be when you speak of them. So be careful what you say. Another big general one, the last big general one is embrace your uniqueness. Best thing I've ever done. Be happy and content. Find a way. It ain't easy, but find a way. And it's multiple small efforts that you make that get you to the point where you see yourself and you're like, wow, I'm actually really just perfect as I am. I don't need to change this about myself. Perhaps you're an introvert. Perhaps you're an extrovert. And we won't all be each other's cup of tea, but there are people who will enjoy you. So embrace who you are and don't try and change who you are because you want to keep people in your life or you want to attract certain people. The best way to attract the best people for you is by being yourself. That's also just the best way you're going to have authentic relationships. So yeah, that's just generally what I think would be helpful. And for your 20s, this is my advice. This is what I've learned. This is what I hope you can apply for yourself. The first one is showing yourself self-love can look like not wasting your time on things that don't matter in your 20s. I've already mentioned it. I've already said it. You've got to be very careful what you spend your time doing, what you choose to invest your time in. I can say to you with the utmost confidence, spending time for like 5 hours, 4 hours the day before, into the night, into the early hours of the morning, partying and drinking excessively is not good for anything, because 9 times out of 10, if you were drinking excessively, you're going to wake up hungover, and that wastes time. You have other things to do the next day, but instead you're having to spend your day in bed nursing a hangover that you could have just prevented if you had not had too much to drink. Now listen, I know that some people do like partying, they like the club. You can still have fun there and enjoy it without getting ridiculously drunk, without not being able to get out of bed the next day. Because our lives they're multifaceted. There's just so much to do in life. And you have other priorities and you have other commitments, and you need to see your priorities through. So don't do things that are going to waste your time and that are going to hold you back and that don't actually matter. And they won't matter tomorrow. They won't matter in 5 years. So yeah, but it's not just that. It's also relationships and who you choose to allow into your life. And just what you are choosing to pour yourself into. The second one is investing in yourself and the things that will have amazing returns in the long term or in the long run. That's something really important to start considering in your 20s. Talking about investing financially, investing in your relationship with God is extremely important. Again, This is obviously something that I can speak on with so much confidence because I'm seeing it happening in my own life. That is the best thing that I have done and continue to do, is to have a relationship with God and to keep pouring into it. It's making the world's difference. And I know that this is the kind of relationship that is going to last forever. And it is an investment that I'm making in myself as well, that is going to have amazing long-term effects, amazing returns. And again, I don't want it to sound like, oh, I'm going down on my knees every night and I'm praying because there's something that God is going to give me in return. No. There is a peace, a deep joy, a deep fulfillment that comes with being in a relationship with God. There is knowledge and wisdom and incredible understanding that comes with being in a relationship with God. And for me, when I say this is something that's going to have amazing returns in the long term, this is going to be something, these are going to be things that I can apply when I am somebody's wife one day, when I am a mother one day, when I am a businesswoman one day, when I am doing whatever it is that I would be doing. So, yes, just invest in yourself. Do what will be good for you, not just now, in the long term. Money, learn how to manage your money better. Expose yourself to different people, wise people. You can't be the wisest person in your life. You shouldn't want to be the wisest person in your life. Be teachable. Be teachable. Learn from your mistakes. Please learn from your mistakes. That's a really important thing. That is a big way to show yourself love, is to not repeat the mistakes that you have made in the past. Learning the first time is great. Don't want to go through a thing. Don't desire, don't wish, don't hope to. Don't put yourself in a position where you're having to go through a thing multiple times before you learn. Loving yourself in your 20s can also look like not being desperate to fit in. Please, you are you, and that's what makes you incredible. The fact that you are you, the fact that you have the quirks that you do, the fact that you walk the way you do and you talk the way you do, and the fact that you have your birthmark where you have it, and the fact that you have the skin that you have, the smile that you have, the eyes that you have. So don't be desperate to fit in, because that will have you acting out of character. Don't be desperate to fit in materially. Don't be desperate to fit in physically. Just don't be desperate to fit in. Don't push hard to be something that you aren't. It's going to take away from your life experiences and the opportunities that you have, and that you will have to grow and learn. Another one is this one. It's more on the physical front. Drink plenty of water and wear sunscreen every single day. Please, please, please. I'm now in my era of watching videos, a lot of YouTube videos by dermatologists, and I also come across these videos on YouTube Shorts, on TikTok as well, where dermatologists are always saying that you need to just drink water, because our skin everywhere, face, arms, it's an organ, and it needs water, it needs to be hydrated. So when you start doing these things young, you are taking care of the much older you in the future. You're making sure that you don't need to worry about getting treatments to reverse fine lines. You won't get your fine lines prematurely. You won't wrinkle up prematurely. You know, just, and I think this is more on the sunscreen every single day part. Wear sunscreen. Start wearing sunscreen if you haven't yet. Don't go outside without putting sunscreen on your skin. Our skin needs that protection. It definitely does. And go watch videos about it. Go and educate yourself about it, about why it's important to be wearing sunscreen every day and drinking water. Just drinking water is just a general, it's a general thing that you should be doing because that's good for you and your body needs that. Another one is not putting people you don't know on high pedestals. Talking about social media now. Social media just has this way of making it okay for people to, making it okay for people to think that idolizing people and putting them on high pedestals is what? It's the thing to do, that it's normal, that it's okay. No, these are people just like you, and we shouldn't be idolizing people that we don't know. We shouldn't be idolizing anyone, period. But there is no need to also be looking at a person so much for inspiration, for breath in your lungs, for purpose to live, when you don't even know them like that. They're showing you a very small portion of their lives, and they're also probably bound to disappoint you. And I think that's why some people also get so mad when something comes out about someone that they really, really like or that they really look up to. And there's nothing wrong with being inspired by other people, but just be careful, don't cross that line. Another one is having realistic standards and not compromising on them. I'm going to start with career. You know what you want to do with your life. You have an idea. Maybe the idea is changing, but you know what you want. You know what excites you and what you want to pursue. Don't give up on that, and have standards. Tell yourself you're not going to work in a space that doesn't prioritize this. You aren't willing to give up your dream, or you aren't willing to compromise on this thing so that you can have the position that you want. Don't say yes to everything, especially when it comes to workplaces. I know that it's also a bit challenging when you are in a position where you're looking for work and you want to put food on your table. So I do understand that, but there are things that we just shouldn't be compromising on. And when we want those things, we should work towards them. It's okay to turn down certain things. It's okay to say no to certain things. It's okay to negotiate when it comes to certain things. But yeah, pursue the things that you love and that you want to do, and just put your best foot forward. And if it doesn't work out, then it doesn't, but you would have done your best. The other one is yourself, right? Have standards for yourself and respect them so that other people will respect them. And just don't be willing to compromise on the things that you enjoy and the things that you like so that another person will be comfortable. And of course, I'm not saying that be so uptight and rigid that you aren't willing to hear anyone out. No. But I am saying that there are certain things, and you would know, just as I would know about myself, that don't make you comfortable, that you aren't willing to give up on. For example, you meet someone, you really, really enjoy their company, and then you start courting, or if you're not a person that courts, then you start dating, and you realize that there's no alignment between you and them. Please don't waste your time trying to change that person's mind. Could even be in friendship. Don't switch up what you like. Don't change who you are so that the other person is comfortable. That ain't it. That ain't it. And it's gonna waste your time, and it's gonna take away from the things that you would like for yourself, the things that you want for yourself, the standards that you have set for yourself. Just you end up stepping out on yourself, and that's just the biggest form of betrayal, really, if we're being honest. I understand that another person betraying you hurts, but betraying yourself, yeah, I know that doesn't feel nice. In love, have standards in love. Please, like I said, please, they must be realistic. And I will get into standards and then being realistic in the episode about romantic love. But yeah, have the standards, the realistic standards, not what you are hearing TikTok self-proclaimed love gurus saying, but the ones that you have promised yourself, or that you have decided will work for you, and that align with what you would like in your life, what makes the most sense to you. Love is a very beautiful thing. Healthy, stable relationships are very, very beautiful. And I've seen specifically where couples have got at the center of their relationship, those relationships really thrive. So another important thing is to be in alignment with the person that you're with. You've got to have similar or same priorities. And if you are somebody that wants marriage, and the person that you have taken an interest in is not interested in marriage, then leave it alone. Don't try and convince them. Don't try and change them. Don't try and waste your time. And just see a relationship, see love as a team effort. Not this weird thing that is happening in today's society, in today's culture, where women seem to be entitled, and in some situations men are entitled. It's just not gonna work when you're competing with the person that you're in a relationship with. The relationship's gonna fail. So just be careful. Just be extra careful. Another thing I would say is not participating in diet culture and calorie counting. I said it, I don't do that, and I have really done it all. I've done the diets, I've done the intermittent fasting. I'm not going to say that these things don't work. Maybe they'll work for you. They didn't work for me. And I also realize that there is no reason to starve myself when I can just eat properly. That's it. And when I mean properly, I mean 2 slices of bread and not 4 or 5 in one sitting. So, yeah, just eat good, nourish your body. You can eat everything and still be good, and still maintain your weight, and just be mindful when you're eating. Don't starve yourself. That's not very loving. Take leaps of faith. Highly recommend. Put God first. Take God with you everywhere you go. Another one, exploring new recreational activities. I said it. Find other fun things to do. Don't just focus on one thing. Don't just say your idea of fun is going to the club every week, or going to a specific event once a month, every month. Go to that event in 1 month, and then go to go for a hike with friends another month, go for coffee another month. Obviously based on what you can afford, obviously based on who you want to do those things with. Sometimes just go do it on your own. You know what I'm saying? But love on yourself in that way. Explore this life. There's so much to do. So many fun things that will also be fulfilling. The last one is do things that require you to get out of your everyday routine. Challenge yourself. I was reading up on challenging ourselves on pain, an article written by a psychiatrist. And she was talking about the fact that the brain thrives on us experiencing intense physical pain, putting ourselves in challenging, uncomfortable situations. There is a part in the brain that reacts positively to that. And then when you are in a moment of enjoyment, you will experience it more intensely. So in other words, and I hope I'm saying this right, when you give yourself an opportunity to experience intense pain, like, lifting weights, the pain of Pilates, the pain of different other exercises, when you are in a place of enjoyment, or you are experiencing enjoyment, you will experience it more intensely. And it's just something that happens in the brain. So challenge yourself, get out of your everyday routine, and just push yourself in the best way, in the healthiest way possible, to do more, to do different things that will require you to really dig a little bit deeper, and push yourself, and put yourself in a position where you are building that resistance to giving up when you are in a difficult situation, where you push through it. It could be fun, it could be very difficult and uncomfortable, it could be anything really. Yeah, just take care of yourself, love yourself. Please love yourself. Teach yourself to do it. It's not an easy thing to do, but it is very doable, and it should definitely be a priority in everyone's life. 110%. Yeah, this is where we are ending this week's episode. Thank you so much for joining me. I spoke today. I really did. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Please don't forget to come back next week for the next installment of the Love series. This is the second Love series, pretty much. Yeah, if you are wanting to put anyone on, please let them know that they can listen to or find a cupful on all listening platforms. Very, very, very important. And if you have anything to share, any thoughts, please, 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 you can send an email to acupfulll@gmail.com, or you can otherwise leave a comment. I post videos on TikTok. Oh yes, please, 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 if you are wanting to put anyone on as well, and you maybe they want to test the waters first, you can tell them to head on over to TikTok. It is at acupfulllpod. You can also leave comments there. You're more than welcome to DM me there if you have any thoughts to share, if there's anything on your heart. I would love to hear from you. Have a lovely remainder of this week. Rest when you need to, work when you need to. Be kind to yourself, be kind to others. Learn to love yourself. Make an effort to take the steps. And don't forget that it won't always be easy, but it's something that you are fortunate to be able to do, and see it that way and prioritize it. And most importantly, keep doing the things that fill your cup.